Over to you, sir.
Thank you. Uh, good afternoon. It's past 12 now. I hope everyone from outside with all the stalls have come inside and there's at least one representative of each of the countries here. Is that right? Yeah? Okay. Now, more than what we expect from shoots and in foreign shoots, I have a few questions for all of you all. Okay? Why are you all here? Why have you come here? Okay. You want us there. Why? Great opportunity for every destination. What kind of opportunity?
Thank you. To expose them ourselves, our country, the beauties of our country.
Mm-hmm. But okay, and what else?
And brings more Indian people, Indian tourists to our country, of course.
Why?
Because they love Bollywood. It's a religion for them.
Okay. So one of the reasons is tourism.
Of course.
Okay. Anything else?
And of course, it's great impact for our economy. I think my colleague from the Film Commission.
But that's part of tourism.
Yes. Well.
Anything else? Sir, what about y'all? The two gentlemen there. Hello. Hi. What about y'all? Why have y'all come here and what do y'all expect to get in return? How do you think it will benefit your country?
We hope to learn what producers like yourself are looking for when you're going abroad to shoot films, so that we can adjust our offer to your needs.
But why do you all want us there?
We're a private company, so
okay.
yeah.
Okay. Anyone else from any other country? What about you?
What you are thinking, what you demand, and we want to interact more with the Indian film industry. We want to learn from them as well.
Okay. So, the potential of people coming to shoot in another country, I feel you're all, with due respect, everybody is looking at it in a very myopic way and in a very small percentage of what actually can happen. And you're just seeing the tip of the iceberg. It's not just tourism. Let me tell you factually what I have seen as a growth that has happened in a city and a country with film shoots. Let's talk about London and the United Kingdom. The first time I went to shoot there was in 2002. That was the first time I went to shoot in the UK. And we found with great difficulty one location manager who had not worked for about a year or so. And he came in one sweet little beat up car and he was like, thank God you guys are here because I got no work. And there was very little happening in terms of filming in the UK. We didn't even know whether there was a rebate there or nothing like that. We had no idea. Last year I shot again in the UK. I shot again there 4 or 5 years before that, 3 years before that. That was 2002. By 2014, in 12 years, okay, what happened in the United Kingdom is there are innumerable location managers now roaming around in convertible cars. They have so much work that they're making shitloads of money. They're turning down work. Soho is filled with post-production facilities. Okay, every major studio in the world, whether it's 20th Century Fox or it's Warner Brothers, has an office in Soho. There are innumerable post-production facilities in Soho where you can do anything and everything you want in sound, picture, everything, graphics, everything. 2 major Indian studios have put up their offices and studios in Soho, Prime Focus and After Studios. There is even in Bombay, I think for the last 30, 40 years, there's only been one preview theater which has opened up. Some have shut down, okay? There's only been one preview theater here in Santa Cruz which has opened up, Lightbox. In Soho, there are more than one. I mean, there's more than one, which has opened in the last 4 or 5 years. Preview theaters where filmmakers can come and preview their films before they get the final copy. This huge change has happened with just filming. The amount of film facilities available in the UK are more than what they make. They don't make that many films. They don't make that many films, but the amount of facilities available for filming in the UK is tremendous. And it's not just, so now coming to my point which I asked you about tourism, it's not just tourism that will benefit a country. Okay, there was an industry in the UK which was dying. Okay, the film industry was as good as buried. Okay, they were only just, like Pinewood was making the you know, like the Bond films, and that was it. There was nothing else happening in terms of film production in the UK. Now, there are the support systems that have grown and which have propelled parallel industries is phenomenal, whether it's in transport. Earlier, we could not get a transport company to give us cars. There was just like Addison Lee and a few others and all, and you know, you have to find one car from one person, one car from the other. Now there are transport companies, there are catering companies, there's hotels which are, you know, like providing A crew, B crew facilities, everything. So it is not just tourism that gives the country a boost, it's talent. Okay, because there are now so many people in the UK that are looking at film-related activities as career options, which is not happening earlier. Earlier, the guy was, poor chap, came in a beat-up car because he had not worked for a year. Now they really don't have time. They really have no time. There's so much work happening that they just don't have time, and it's all over the country. Ireland has joined, everybody has joined. So that has given, so the entire Soho, okay, that entire district of Soho has become like a production hub. So look at real estate prices, okay. So look at the number of ancillary industries that keep growing. Banking, okay, it's helped banking. Because what's happened is that, yes, they offer a rebate. Now, if your sound as a producer and you have a sound record and everything and a sound background check, the banks are willing to discount your rebate before you even go for filming. So you even get that benefit, which is a huge benefit. Which means if you're getting a 25% or a 20% or whatever it is as a cashback, you do not need to spend it. Because it doesn't make sense for me as a producer to first spend the money and then get it back. So that's, of course, if I'm a sound producer, not just some new guy comes up and says, hey, I'm going to spend $100,000, so give me my $20,000 in advance. No one's going to give it to him. But if he's got a good track record, he's got a good production background, the banks in the UK are doing that now. And at ridiculous rates, 2.5%, 3%. So that makes a huge difference as well. Because here, we're getting money at 12%, 15%, and I'm getting it discounted at a bank at 2 to 3%. So that makes a huge difference. So all these things put together is what is changing filming in the UK and what has brought over new industries there, which they didn't think would be revived. So that, I think, is the way to look at, like when you come here and you say, okay, come to our country, film in our country, look at the bigger picture. Because there's so much more that changes when somebody comes to film there. There's that much more employment. There's that many ancillary industries that are opening up. And whether it's transport, catering, hotels, banking, workers, if you're putting up sets and doing set construction. Sorry? Yeah, and of course the local film industry, the local talent. And if you get down to putting up post-production facilities there, then it just opens up the floodgates and there's so much more happening. So I think everybody needs to, as a world community, needs to look at filming is not just a window or a passport for increasing tourism. That is like the most obvious and the smallest thing that will happen. That's just a given. That is going to happen. But the other things, the other industries, how much they benefit, is what is good. Now, of course, it's very easy. In like one sentence, I can say what are the facilities that we want. I mean, that's logic. That's common sense. You know, you want a one-window clearance for your permissions and visas and things like that. I mean, now that's. I don't think we should have a debate and a discussion in a seminar of what we need. I think that's understood. We all know what we need. You all know what we need. We know what we need. To sit down and discuss is discussing a very small matter. You know, you need to take the discussion to the next level. Talk about bigger things. Talk about you know, how trade can be increased. Talk about the facilities in a more refined and a more detailed manner, rather than saying, I need hotels, I need flights, I need equipment. Duh, you're going for a shoot, you are going to need all these things. So let's not look at the basics. Let's look at the advanced things and have a debate and have a discussion on the next step. Because these things are given. Oh, I need a quick visa clearance. Sometimes, you know, my artist gives me dates, and in 2 weeks I have to go and shoot. So don't take 4 weeks to work on my visa. Okay, that all will happen. Don't worry about it. But what are the other things? What is the next step? How do we take this to the next step is what all of us have to think and what you all have to think. If you're saying, come to Sweden for shooting, come to Georgia, come to Cyprus, great, we'll come there. But what are the other things that can happen and how do we keep increasing it? Because every time one looks at a new place to shoot, you don't want to go through the headache of reinventing the wheel. It shouldn't be like, okay, now I have to start from scratch and tell them this is what I need, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, and then I'll come. And then, oh, when I go there, there won't be this, there won't be this, there won't be that. And those are the things that you want to avoid and just get down to the next step. So I think if anyone has any questions now is the time, because I think it's always better to have an interactive session rather than just a monologue session. I can go on and on talking. But so I think if anyone has some questions, please fire away, shoot away, and let's make this a debate about how we take things to the next level. How UK has been so successful in doing this with just 20%. It's actually in hand is just 20% after all your legal fees and everything, and you know, like you're just getting. I didn't do that. You know, like you're just getting a 20% rebate. So how is it so successful? And what can all of you all do to make it that successful? I've shot a number of films in the UK, got the rebate, got everything. All that is fine. That's all basic, like I said. But we need to take this to the next level. We need to take it to facilities. You need to take it to post-production. You need to take it to banking. You need to take it to all these things. Bring in all these departments. Then it'll benefit you. Tourism, you don't need to have such a big conference just to get more tourists in your country. That they will come here. You know, the economy is doing well here. People want to travel, they'll travel to your country. That's not a big deal. But if so many minds have got together, let's discuss something bigger. So, any questions, anybody? Tarun Mansukhani is here. Hello. Tarun, nobody has any questions for me. Come up, no? Are come, what's the deal? No questions, anybody?
Ma'am, please use the mic. Ma'am,
Sorry.
if you could please
Yeah.
use the mic, everybody
use
will
the
be able to hear it.
So the same question goes to you. According to producer or director, what should be the next level facilities or the system has to be?
So, like I said, it's not about just a, you know, like a cash rebate or something like that. That's a given. I think, like I said, the facilities and the benefits are far more than the countries are even seeing or what they're understanding. And it is not just about tourism. Like I said, the first time I shot in the UK was 2002. And there were no facilities. There were hardly any post-production studios. There were hardly any location managers. There was nothing. But in the last 15 years, everything has just exponentially exploded. And the reason for that is not just the rebate. It is because there's a whole system to support you there. So if I want to do any kind of post-production, I can just walk into a studio in Soho and get it done. And it'll be at an international quality, of course. That goes without saying. So there needs to be a lot of support system that is there. There needs to be different types of hotels one can stay in. All that is given. But I'm saying the support in terms of post-production, in terms of banking. Banking is so easy when you're talking about the UK and India. You just transfer the funds from here, because once somebody was asking me, somebody wanted to invest and they said, but how do you transfer funds from here to shoot in the UK? So I was like, I don't know, my accountant just made me fill up a form and that was it. You know, there was nothing. He's like, no, but what about RBI clearances and this and that? I'm like, I really don't know, and I did not know, because it's not a complicated system. It is just one form that has to be filled in and it's just done. So the ease of even getting your funds back is just also simple and straightforward. That is what needs to be done. So it's not complicated. It's not, I mean, there's no red tape. There's nothing like that. Even for like visa formalities. So I said we won't talk about these small things, but now since you've asked the question, we will. Even for that, there have been times when we've got dates of actors at the last minute. And they've given us the visa like in 24 hours, 48 hours. So that happens. So in terms of facilities, it's not just I need A Crew Hotel, I need B Crew Hotel. It's not that. It is facilities for banking, facilities for discounting the rebate, facilities for post-production, which can be built over a period of time. It's not going to happen overnight. It's going to be built over a period of time, but these are the things that once you have all that, then it really, is very tempting to come there.
Thank you. Why I ask this, because I am from the government of Gujarat. I am representing the tourism department, under which we have set up a film facilitation cell. And at present, we are working on the policy, the streamlined policy for the film facilitation. So that's why I asked you, because permission is just a one part.
I'm so glad you're from the government of Gujarat, because let me tell you now the problems that we have shooting in India.
So that's why I asked.
I'll have to roll up my sleeves.
Because
So, if I have to shoot somewhere, okay, I need permission from Archaeological Department, Department of Tourism, Municipality, Police. If by chance it's even 100 meters near the coast, Coast Guard, Fire Brigade, and if there's an animal involved, then someone from animal this thing, and then the local politician. So by the time we are through with getting all the permissions and clearances, then somebody else lands up. कि आपने मेरा permission नहीं लिया. So I think the issues of shooting in India, the problems of shooting in India are so much, and there's so much red tape. There's so much red tape involved that it really becomes tiring. We do it all the time. Some of the songs that you saw of mine, I mean, we've shot, like I've shot at the Qutub Minar, I've shot at Red Fort, I've shot all over the country. But every time there is a shoot anywhere near a monument, it is so difficult because so many people come for such ridiculous things. And let's not even talk about all the haftas and the bribes and all those things that we have to give. But what needs to be done is one centralized system needs to be created where one goes and gets the permission from one department, or maybe two. If I'm getting police, why do I need Coast Guard? Then if I'm getting that, then I need municipality as well. Then if I've got the municipal permission, then I have to also get fire brigade in certain places. Then I have to get archaeological survey. So there are 6, 7 permissions where I have to just put one guy to go running around and get all the permissions. Customs also you have to get at times, if you're shooting near the sea. Then, so there's so many things that, create problems. Then even within the country, if I'm taking a camera from Bombay to Gujarat, I have to fill in an R form or something like that, right, Tarun? There's something like that, an R form or something. Yeah. So you have to fill up a form to even take equipment from Bombay to Gujarat and bring it back to Bombay for equipment. Okay, I have to fill up forms for that. But if I'm shooting in Europe, I don't have to take, like fill in forms to take equipment from Germany to Norway. I just travel. But within India, to take equipment around becomes a real headache. So these are the things that I feel in India we specially need to address. The paperwork needs to come down. The permissions need to come down. While we understand, yes, it is a monument, we need to take care of it. We are also responsible. We also know that. And there are people there who are going to check it. But why do I have to take permission from 10 departments? So if I'm getting a clearance from the police, it should be their job to get the clearance from the Coast Guard.
Correct.
I have to go everywhere and get all the permissions.
Yeah.
That becomes really exhausting and time consuming.
Yeah, no, but if we talk about Gujarat, so like we have set a special cell for this. So we are going to be a single window agency for, since 2014 we have been operating this system. So it is there. Anybody wish to shoot in Gujarat, they just needs to contact us. Then we are issuing the permissions on behalf of each local authorities and everybody to them. So that is there. We have 7 days, 7 to 10 working days permission system. If it is not given, then it is assumed that it is given. So
Oh,
that is the
okay.
that is by default. That is the government resolution. So
Very
it is
good.
there. Yeah, but if we talk about ASI, so it is. I mean, it is not under state government's control.
Correct.
So you have to apply to the ASI for that
Yeah.
matter. Second system is like if any special charges are applicable, the charges are needs to be paid by yourself directly to the
Correct.
MD department, but the permission will be issued by us only. So that is the system in Gujarat. We are already working on it. But looking to this next level, what you discussed before. So we are now in the process of framing a policy. So other than the single window system, the permission part, we are looking at the investment portion, post-production portion, and the taxation related some rebates and something like that. So we are in process. So that's what I want to understand from the industry. By interacting with the industry, I just want to clear myself what all requirements, are
See,
there
I
from
think
your end.
in that, it's very simple. What needs to be done? So your single window is actually double window because I have to still go to the ASI.
ASI is not
But it should-
state
yeah,
government's.
But that's
yeah.
what I'm saying.
Yeah.
See, so then there are wheels within wheels. Okay, so then if I'm shooting near the coast, you'll say, I've given you the permission, but you still have to go to Coast Guard. So again, that happens. So
why
I'm
we-
saying your
yeah.
single window should be a genuine single window where even ASI comes into that. So everything should come into that.
Yeah, we are
I know
ready.
it's central. I
Yeah.
know it's central. Okay, and it should be, and it continues to be central, and it will be central. That's fine. But I'm saying your single window should be a genuine single window where even ASI clearance comes through you. Okay,
That i-
then
Why we are not convincing them just
Ma'am.
because it is something.
Ma'am, if you can just allow the mic to go around. We could arrange for you to have a special meeting because these are
Okay.
specific to India and we have so many
And-
foreign delegates here. I think we'll give them a chance.
I just asked because nobody was
No, I
questioning,
know
so
that.
I
I
thought
know,
let
I know.
me.
But now that you've set the ball rolling, and I'm sure
Okay, go on.
others will follow.
Hi, Kunal. My name is Imtiaz. We've recently gotten into a co-production arrangement with a company in UK. It's a studio in UK, and we are producing an international film with UK and with another European country. I'm learning along the way, but what I've understood is if we send our funding, we are investing, and the UK company is investing part of the money. If we take the money out of India into UK, and eventually the film's monetization will happen from across Europe, UK, and North America, the money comes back into India, then there is an issue of our company falling under an AOP tax thing, which would mean there'll be some kind of a double taxation. What
No. As far as I know, there's an agreement with UK, Indian
Yes.
government and UK, where there is no double taxation. So the tax that you pay there is
Yeah.
applicable here. So that means that whatever tax, like even if you pay your artist from there,
Yeah.
okay, you can show the certificates here. It's called an FEU certificate. I think you can show it here, and that can be used in India as your tax paid in India.
Okay, so there will be no double taxation.
There is no double taxation with
I
the
have
UK,
been-
which is something which I think all the countries should look at, that there's no double taxation, because the UK has that treaty with India where there's no double taxation. So taxes paid in the UK are considered as taxes paid here. So if you
Okay.
make a payment to an artist in the UK,
Yeah.
that same certificate is valid in India in their tax returns.
Okay, one has been struggling in this a bit, but I'll take your word for it for now. I've been talking to
Yeah, but don't
financial
hold me
advisors.
responsible if something happens and you get
No, I won't.
and you get something. This is
No, no,
as
no.
far as I know.
Yeah.
As far as I know. I'm not your tax consultant.
I know.
You need
but-
to discuss
No,
it
but
with
we're
your
looking
tax
at all your
consultant.
experience in the past, trying to benefit from that. Thanks
Yeah.
anyways.
Yeah. If you want some more advice on that, I'll send you a bill.
We've got someone from Egypt.
Hello, hi. I'm
Hi.
Ismail Amr, Egyptian tourism counselor. Actually, it's great debate about. It's a great debate about what you, as directors and as producers, needs from us as destinations. I think that we need to expand a little the debates to be from the other side what we need from the directors and
True.
producers, because at the end of the day it's a kind of intersection between your targets and our targets.
Yes.
What I believe is that sometimes, and actually I have a case which was an Egyptian movie that has been shooting somewhere, very negatively talked about this place, and it says, it showed that the Egyptian ambassador in that place has been kidnapped, and they were searching for him or whatever, and it showed the country in a negative way. And actually, I was very astonished how the permissions has been granted for, although it's an Egyptian movie and showed in Egypt for the sake of comedy, but it was at the end of the day a negative image of this destination. So from our point of view, it's I think farther than making business out of the movie itself or the funds injected in the country, but it should also consider.
I totally
Uh,
agree with you. In
yes.
fact, I think that's a very valid point, that when one goes to a country to shoot, one should respect the laws of the country, the feelings and the culture of that country, and not make fun of it in any way.
Correct. This is exactly what I mean, because
And
for
I think
example,
the way you can look at that is you can ask for a script or at least of the scenes that are being shot there, because sometimes producers might not be okay to share scripts with you, but you can ask for a synopsis of the film, you can ask of the scenes that have to be shot there, and say what are the kinds of scenes that you plan to shoot in our country, so we need to know that. And well, actually even script, I think a lot of countries even ask for that. Like the UK, you have to submit your full script.
Correct.
You can't
This-
not submit the full script.
this is when it comes to when you come to us for asking kind of a rebate or
Yeah.
for asking us for
Yeah,
support.
if you don't ask
But in
for-
general, I'm talking in general. When
In general, you
this
wouldn't
is
know.
my humble
Yeah.
request for all the directors and all producers.
Yeah.
When they visit a destination, it's very important that you might talk about a very brave heart hero from India who will fight
Yeah.
against the devil or whatever. But at the end of the day, this should be very taken into account, that
I agree.
it's not applying to the whole country. And
Correct.
also for us, sometimes, for example, if you are going to a European country or African country, let's say African country, because sometimes when you, for example, you shoot in a forest in Kenya or in Uganda or whatever, okay? Sometimes the movie shows as if the country is all a forest. Okay, so this actually embeds a negative image, because at the end of the day, the movies are
we have the same
tools.
problem.
Yes.
We have the same problem.
Yes.
People think that India is the land of snake charmers and all that. They used to think, now they don't anymore. And some people still think that, like in Africa, the whole country is a forest and there are no cities. But I think just as you're saying that we should respect the culture and everything, what we both have to understand is that if one person does it, doesn't mean all the filmmakers of the country are like that. Yes, there will be some people who will do it. There will be some people who will go and shoot in a country and not pay and run away. But that doesn't mean that everyone from that country is like that. So that's a two-way street, and I think that will happen. It is going to happen. You will have people who will come to your country and not pay and run away. You will have people that will come to your country and show it in a bad light. That is going to happen. But that doesn't mean that everyone is like that. Because one can't live
That's
in
why
a
we are here,
utopian
you know, if you know that
situation
everybody
and
is
say
going
that,
to
look,
be
it's
there,
never going to happen.
we wouldn't have been here. So we are here because we know that lots of positive
Yeah.
people. But just, you know, it's a kind of a trigger
Yeah.
for everybody when
It is.
Yes.
One has to be cautious, and you can red flag those people, but you shouldn't red flag the entire country for that.
Correct.
You know?
Thank you so much.
Yeah. Anyone else? Yeah, he's got a question.
Small question, sir. Like you said that you are actually not aware how Gujarat is functioning in terms of single window or what are the, you know, to what extent they are updated their systems. So what I want to tell you is, what are your sources of information when you need to shoot in a particular state,
Internet.
for example?
Primarily, it should be.
What is your source of information?
That's a very good question.
When you need to shoot in any of the state in India, for example.
Okay, so what we do is, generally, we find out if someone else has gone and shot there, some other producer's gone and shot there, and since most of us are very friendly with each other, we pick up the phone and ask the person and say, hey Tarun, have you shot in Gujarat? And if he says yes, then I'll ask him for a contact over there. And he'll give me a contact of a local ground person from there, like a line producer or
Line
someone from
producer.
there. And then we talk to that person. If no one has gone and shot in that particular state, then we just look up the net and try to find somebody. But there's very rarely a thing where someone has not gone and shot somewhere. There's always someone from either from the film industry or from advertising who's gone and shot an ad there, or somebody's gone and shot something there. So one always manages to find a line producer. So the primary information is coming from one line producer. But I think it can be made better if it is on the net. If you have a website which just tells us everything, it would be so much easier. Then I don't need to depend on calling up a friend of mine or calling up a line producer and getting information from him. It should all just be there on the net.
May I take the liberty to tell you that things have actually gone beyond, much beyond this. Line producers are certainly, you know, one of your best sources.
Yeah.
But what actually happening is that, for example, I represent Delhi, Department of Tourism, Delhi government. We have lots of information available on our website, which talks about how the system is made easy to, you know, get permissions, single window to whatever extent it is available. But line producers do not really contact us, nor the film producers. You only depend on the line producers, which for any reasons, they would not actually update you that what the state has to offer, what are the systems available now. And I would actually urge you that you kindly, you know, in India, now every state has a nodal department of the government, and mostly the tourism departments of the respective states. If you kindly refer to them,
Nice.
I think things
Sure.
would ease it down for you.
Excellent.
And you need not to get into only land producers. I don't say that they're not feeding you right information, but
No, but you're right. That should be the
much better is available,
It-
and
yeah,
you
fair
should-
enough.
Yes.
Fair enough. Yeah.
So that is the way I think we need to also communicate with each other,
Correct.
or
Yeah.
just having land producer in between.
Yeah.
Or tell us the source that how we can reach you.
No,
You
I
means the
think
industry.
I think the best way is through the net. There's nothing better than that. That we go through your website
We are
and
there.
we
That
see
is there.
everything there, and who to contact is put up there, and then we contact the people there, and then we take it up from there.
So besides calling up your colleagues, friends, and land producers, if you kindly refer to the state tourism departments,
Correct.
I think you will be benefited. Thank you.
I'm sure. Thank you.
And to add on that, I would just say one thing, that all the database which you are in need of at first as a basic, it is everything available on our website.
Excellent. Yeah. Yes.
Hi. Just to add to what he said, like I'm an international land producer. I offer my services in almost 40 countries. And besides Indian films, I'm also doing 2 Hollywood movies and the two UK movies as well. So what I do is I work at production houses which are referred by the Film Commission of each country, or reputed production houses, you know. And I also work the tourism board because sometimes the assistants giving permissions free of charge, you know. So we work as a team with the film commissions, the tourism board, and the production house who are reputed in those countries. That's how we move forward.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Anybody else with any questions?
Okay, so then I should end my talk, debate, interaction with this. Thank you so much. And Tarun is here, so please stay on and listen to Tarun. And thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's put our hands together for Mr. Kunal Kohli. Thank you very much, sir, for that very, very interactive and insightful power chat. Ladies and gentlemen, just to, in case you don't realize it, the IIFTC market guide will provide you ready references where you can source your
जितने माइक हैं उतने कैमरा नहीं है चलो okay.
So sir, tell us something, how is the overall experience with IIFTC and what you're looking for?
The experience was very nice. I had a good chat. I think abhi what we are looking for shooting anywhere in the world or in our country is that we need a single window clearance where you come and you just get the permission and you can shoot then in various locations, and all the permissions and everything that one needs, one gets in one location, in one window. So one window clearance is very important for filming anywhere in the world or in India especially, so that we don't have to go to different departments and get clearances from different departments. एक department के पास जाओ, पूरी clearance आपको मिल जाती है. That is what we need as producers from every state in our country.
So do you think foreign is becoming easier to shoot as we see in the India?
Yeah, unfortunately it is true that it is easier to shoot in a foreign country than it is in India as of now. But there are states which are changing that and which are making it easier for us to shoot even in India. We want to shoot in India. फिल्में ज़्यादा चलती हैं जब आप इंडिया में ही शूटिंग करते हो. इंडियन फिल्में हैं, इंडिया में ही शूट करनी चाहिए. तो and we don't go abroad because it's easier to shoot. We still want to shoot in India only. तो जब तक but what needs to be done to support us is just to give us single window clearance. हम ये नहीं कह रहे कि बहुत easy कर दो, सिर्फ एक window रखो जहाँ पर हम जाएं, फिल्म की permission लें और फिर shoot करें. That's all.
So did you gone through any of this situation ever?
ऐसे तो बहुत सिचुएशन हुए हैं कि एक डिपार्टमेंट से परमिशन लिया, फिर दूसरे से भी चाहिए, फिर तीसरे से भी चाहिए, फिर पांचवा भी पहुंच जाता है. तो ये सब तो चलता रहता है. इट्स पार्ट ऑफ फिल्म मेकिंग, सो वन जस्ट टेक्स इट इन आवर स्ट्राइड. बट ऐसे होना नहीं चाहिए. Well, ऐसा हो रहा है, लेकिन अभी चेंज हो रहा है. पहले क्या था कि it is in some countries it is cheaper because they have a rebate. They have a 20-25% cash rebate even with actors fees. वो सब आपको मिलता है. तो I think, but there are states now in India that are starting to offer that. UP में भी एक rebate system शुरू किया है. Gujarat is coming up in a very big way for film shoots. They are making it much easier to shoot in Gujarat also now. I've just met with someone from Gujarat. They've explained to me how they've made it much easier to shoot in Gujarat. So I think every state should encourage people from other states to come and film and use the beauty and the facilities and the people of the state to increase to increase the ease, to increase films being shot in every state in India. Because इतने फिल्में बनती हैं इंडिया में, so there should be benefits given for us to shoot in any state that we want to. Because we are Indian, we should have the flexibility and ease to shoot in any state of my country.
So one of the great experience of yours in foreign, which you have showed very easier, like don't have any problems.
नहीं, यूके में बहुत आसान है शूटिंग करना, मॉरिशस में भी बहुत आसान है. यूके एंड मॉरिशस आर टू कंट्रीज विच आर वेरी इजी टू शूट इन, और सिंगल विंडो क्लियरेंसेज हैं वहाँ पर फॉर एवरीथिंग, फॉर रिबेट, फॉर एवरीथिंग दे हैव सिंगल विंडो क्लियरेंसेज. तो आई थिंक दैट्स वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट.
So which is the toughest country to shoot?
पता नहीं, अभी देखना पड़ेगा.
So is there any upcoming project you are doing or you are right now busy?
I'm just working on it, so let's see now. I just released फिर से on Netflix, तो अभी वो release हुआ है, and I finished a Telugu film. मैंने एक तेलुगु film बनाई है with तमन्ना भाटिया, तो वो अप्रैल या मई में release होने वाली है. So I think it's the first time a Bollywood director has made, a Hindi director has made a film in Telugu. So I think this is what I'm talking about. This is true national integration. You know, we make films in different languages in different states, and we need to do things like this. So I've just finished my Telugu film, so that should be ready for release in April, May.
Telugu director, our actor, is a cool and calm and very soft gesture of they have as compared to the Bollywood actors.
तो मतलब आप तो मैं आपको जंगली लगता हूँ कि वो लोग कूल और काम है और मैं कूल और काम नहीं हूँ.
इस तरह से हम देखते हैं बॉलीवुड एक्टर्स की और फिर हम साउथ को देखते हैं.
देखिए सब एक जैसे हैं. डायरेक्टर होता है, एक्टर होता है. साउथ के कितने डायरेक्टर्स ने आके यहाँ पर फिल्में बनाई हैं. मुर्गदास, so many have come and made films over here. You know, Prabhudeva sir, Murugadoss, so many have come and made films over here. So it's nice now that even I'm going and making films over there. So it's like a mix now, you know. And it should happen like that. You know, I would love to make a Tamil film, I'd love to make a Gujarati film, a Marathi film, a Bengali film, a Hindi film. I mean, there's no limit or end to the languages in which I can make a film. You know, because I'm an Indian, so I can make films in any language.
It's easier to direct a movie in Telugu.
No, it's actually more difficult because I don't know the language, but I know emotions. Emotion तो सेम ही होते हैं ना. जैसे संगीत का कोई लैंग्वेज नहीं होता, वैसे सिनेमा का भी कोई लैंग्वेज नहीं होता.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Oh, sir. Here from, we've got someone from Japan.
Thank you for discussing. And I come from Japan, and this is the first time for us to participate in the film industry in India. So, what do you need from what the key factor is to shoot in Japan? What do you need support from Japan?
In terms of support, you'll have an entire production side of it that will tell you that A, we want rebate, we want things for free, we want a hotel that will put us up, and we will want a direct flight. That's pretty much first things that they will start with. Where I would ask for is show me the variety of locations that you have. Which parts of it fit into my story? Like for example, I'll just give you an example of Israel. When they knew that I wanted to go there to shoot this song over there for this party number and that they're going on a holiday, for them it was an opportunity to show off Israel. Call me uneducated, but my version of even Israel at that point in time was conflict zone. I never thought about it, about going there, till they arrived into my office and showed me a video about Israel. And that's when I realized it's the Miami of the Middle East. It's partying all the time. There's nothing of what I thought what Israel was all about. And they showed it to me. So in that sense, they had their people going around to all the different production houses and showing them what all their country can offer. So if I wanted to make a historical film, they had the options available for it. If I wanted to make a youngster film about a city, they had it available for me. If I wanted to make a beach film, it was available for me. So similarly for Japan, if you guys can go around to the production houses and just educate us and tell us what all Japan has to offer, that's it, and we'll be there.
Okay, thank you so much.
Hi Tarun,
Yeah.
Sanjeev here.
Hi Sanjeev.
I represent Rajkumar Hirani Films.
Oh, okay.
Just wanted to ask you the experience, you know, when you go to Israel or you shot in Miami. Usually when you shoot there, you have a crew of around 50, 60, maximum 70. But when the same crew, when we shoot in India, it's almost double. How do you explain that?
Because you're not counting the local crew you're hiring. 70 is going from India.
No. I'm talking with the local crew there.
Oh, no. I took 70 from India. I took 70
But
from
still-
India and then hired another 60 from there. So,
But still, for example, if I need, say, a gaffer and I need a few lightmen, 5 of them will do the job, while here you need at least 18. So is it because the labor is cheaper out here and then you say, okay, chalega?
I think it's because we have more available here. We don't have to put them up. We don't have to do anything for them. So there's no count on those numbers anymore. The moment the producer sits down to say, shit, I have to put out a hotel room for someone, they start to really crunch things down. If they
Yeah,
had to
so
give hotel rooms to guys in Bombay, you wouldn't have such big crews.
So it's a matter of discipline, actually.
It's purely a matter of how much you guys have to spend. It's not discipline. It's the pocket tightening. That's it.
No, we really struggle when we have a crew of around 150 and then you have to see that many transport, that many...
You're not really providing all of that in India. When you have to transport somebody, you're not sending somebody to a car for somebody in Reliance or a bus when you're going to shoot in Film City, in Bombay. But yes, when you go to Delhi or you go to Gujarat or you go anywhere of these places, you're still not taking that kind of a crew with you. Why? Because you suddenly realize that you're putting them up, paying 3 meals a day,
Correct.
and they're putting their transport after that. And that's when you start to realize what the numbers really mean. And that's when you start to ask yourself, why do I need so many people? So it's
Exactly.
purely a thing about the money that you have to spend suddenly when you're going to another place. Whether you're going abroad or anywhere in India, the producer suddenly starts to think about all of it only when the money is going.
We've got a question here from Germany.
Hi, I'm
Hello.
Kriti from Germany. I'm an Indian and I understand the Indian ways of working and all the shaking of the heads. And my production always asks me, why are they always moving their head, what they mean, yes or a no? And I see when the time comes, you'll know what they mean.
Yeah.
So since I've been working in Germany and I've started to understand the laws of Europe, European workers are really protected and they would not work more than 10 hours unless they're paid overtime. They are very professional, English-speaking workers and very hardworking. So my question is that if Europe is ready to make a move to come like 90% of the process of understanding, isn't it possible that Indian producers and directors can train their crew to provide sufficient communication to the production abroad to make the process easier both ways? Because you mentioned that a camera is not working. You take your cameras, you pay for the customs and a lot of things. If a camera can be fixed. There are good technicians, but everything costs a lot in Europe.
Always does.
Because it comes with medical insurance, social security, and it's something that we do not understand in India because our culture doesn't work that way, our government doesn't work that way. So the bureaucracy of things that work for Europe, they would not change it for an Indian production
Right.
because it is a good thing. They are medically protected, they are old age protected. So can we little bit change our methods in India to catch up with them?
Absolutely. I think the first way to start that is that if we are planning to come to Germany to shoot, you guys insist that we have it for our crew as well.
Yeah.
And that's it. If we are not willing to stand up to someone else's higher standards, then in that scenario, we're not worth it.
And another thing you mentioned about the weather, like it was raining 2 days in Israel. I think, like this is one thing we do in Europe. I do not know about other countries. We do weather protection insurance. So if Indian companies invest a little bit in insurance.
No, we have all of those in place. It's
Yeah.
not like eventually the producer is going to be upset because we didn't shoot.
Yeah.
They're covered with that. We
Yeah.
have the insurances in place, even for the camera.
Yeah.
It doesn't work for 2 days if my unit is sitting. I'm covered with insurance.
Oh.
It's a personal guilt that you're going to go through that you're sitting
Okay.
over there with the entire unit who's playing cricket. And you're going like, dude, that's not why I came here.
Yes.
So in that scenario, yes, all those insurances are in place. The people are covered. Whenever we are traveling, the equipment is covered. There's no issue with that. But it's a personal thing that knowing the fact that if something goes wrong, there is a backup right here. I don't
Yes.
have that stress on me to say if something gets wrong, because in all of that, what we don't have is an insurance on actors' dates. That if 2 days the camera didn't work, everyone else is fine. They're getting paid. They're all
Yep.
okay. And the actor turns around and says, shit, I've got another shoot going on back in Bombay and I need to head back.
Yeah.
Then all of it means nothing. You've
True.
just lost 2 shoot days.
Definitely.
The rest of it, yes, I understand about the shift timings. I understand about the safety and security and all of that. And I hope that we reach that point someday
Yeah.
where we don't have to work more than 10 hours a day. But at this point, considering the producers barely pay anyone or us
Yeah.
because we are barely able to make the money in return, it's not like they are the evil people.
Yeah.
They're just not able to recover it, and with all the territories going on and all of that, it's a business model thing. But hopefully someday we'll find new revenues of avenues of revenue and figure it out to be able to pay people decently.
Okay, thank you.
We are
Get to the location. Suppose, how easy it is getting permissions. chart, let's shoot here, everything. Take care. It's not like when I'm shooting, somebody comes in, please you can't shoot this now. See, I'm just telling you. Well, last time I was coming here for shoot. I don't know, I'll find out from my production. The permission is not getting from them because there is something there. Tell me, September, there was any problem in this country? Yeah? I was going to the
so many things. Anything that fancies you can find a place as an art form in cinema. So to meet different kinds of people, to introduce myself through, of course, personal interest first, and then a professional interest to work into movies, aspects of culture that enrich our movies, and give a perspective which is very fresh to Indian cinema, has been, as I'm saying, my privilege over some movies that I've done, and some wonderful people that I have met. And recently, many countries have also understood that there is something advantageous to them if Indian films come and shoot there, or if any film comes and shoots there. It promotes tourism. It evokes interest in various things, anything that can be showcased. And if it becomes a reason for more people to go to a place, it's just better all round. And thankfully, so many countries are opening their gates to us now to go and shoot there, and offering all kinds of terms and rebates sometimes. And so that's very much the spirit of IIFTC, I think. And this is not my first time over here. And I thought I'm in conversation with some of my friends here, right? So, are they all here? Is there a look of concern on your faces? All right, okay. So, if I could pick two countries that I have had most fun in, I couldn't have picked better. The first one is the Czech Republic. And there is Pavlina joining me. Would you like to introduce yourself to the audience here?
My name is Pavlina. I am the head of the Czech Film Commission, and maybe to your surprise, I've been only doing this job for over a year. I was the line producer for almost 18 years before that.
So Pavlina, I've shot for 2 times in the Czech Republic, largely in Prague, but also in some other places not so far away. And I think I've got the maximum number of friends there. Some of them I don't even want to associate with anymore. You know how Czech people are. No, but the greatest guys. It's been the easiest and the most fun experience. I've done it twice. So many people are my personal friends from the Czech Republic. And but what do you have to say about the experience or the grapevine about Indian film shooting in Prague?
Well, for us, I would say the nicest thing is the clash of cultures, really. It's always nice to get to know how films are made somewhere else, and then to try to accommodate that culture in my country. But I think the Czechs has this, in our nature, it's the interest to know how things work elsewhere. So we try our best to accommodate international filmmakers. And this is another thing might surprise you, but we at the Czech Commission, we only find out about your first film, Rockstar, that was shot in the Czech Republic, from the actual producer, because your production has contacted them first than us, because the infrastructure and the history of filmmaking in the Czech Republic is quite rich. And we have, I have to admit, we have to have quite a good website with all the kind of information. So very often it happens that the producers just read the information on the website and don't call us at all. So the first time I knew the name, your name actually, was from the Czech producer who called me and said, "Oh, hey, do you know who is actually filming here right now?"
Was that Martin?
Yeah.
Yeah, you sounded like him when you said that. And if the Czech Republic is my first love, then my recent most fascinating lover is Portugal, and represented by Katrina. So it's going to be the three of us. So Katerina and I go to the same wig maker. And we try to look like each other. But would you like to introduce yourself?
Hello, my name is Katerina. I'm here representing my own company, Cinemat, and Portugal. Unfortunately, my film commission is not here. They are in the USA doing the same that we are doing here. It was a pleasure. Thank you for having me here. You and some of the crew are probably the best I have from that film nowadays. It was really a pleasure, and from all the Indian experience that I have, it was really, really easy to do a film with you. We have some changes, some locations that we need to change for several reasons. One's from your side, another from my side. But it all went really well. We've just sorted out without no problems, without no confusions. Why are we here? We are promoting Portugal as a shooting location. We are a very friendly shooting location country. We don't have problems giving visas for a production that it's going to shoot there. The production house do an invitation letter, and we send to the consulate in Goa and Delhi. We're telling this crew it's being hosting by us. They will arrive on that day. They'll leave on that day for sure. I'll just push them out, and they'll be back to India. So they don't check bank accounts. We don't have that problems. Now, Portugal, it's creating a great incentive. It's up to 30% cash rebate. You have to spend in Portugal 500,000 euros, $500,000, but everything is eligible, okay? So just go to our booth, Portugal, met the beautiful ladies that Cinemat has to present you and talk to you. It's a pleasure to have Indian crews there. Jeb, Harry, Matt, Sejal was a pleasure for me to do. I had a lot of fun. It was hectic, but that's how we work. Come, meet Portugal. We are friendly people. We have a lot in common, Indian and Portugal. So let's shoot there. Let's show the world that we are good and we are friends.
So just to understand the structure of this rebate, you're saying that you get 30% cash back on the expenses that you do in Portugal, and that includes the hotel and the so-called above the line, below the line. I don't understand that very well. Is there a distinction?
I do.
What kind of costs?
30%, it has a cultural test, but it doesn't have, we had a big conversation, I mean Cinemat, with our government, because they don't do films. They are an institution, a government, they don't do films. They are not aware of Indian market or Indian films. One of the things we just cut out was cast. You don't need Portuguese cast. You have a hero, you have a heroine, you don't need. Another thing, it's you don't have minimum days to shoot in Portugal, okay? Your story doesn't have to be Portugal. You can pretend it's everywhere in the world if you think that's a good place for you to pretend it's another place in the world. About what's eligible? It's easy. Almost everything's eligible if you pay through an account we will open together in Portugal, okay? To get to the $500,000, okay, you can pay tickets, the flights, if you pay through our account. Your Indian cast, your hero and heroine, if you want to pay through Portugal, it's eligible too. Hotels, transportation, Indian crew, Portuguese crew, everything is eligible, okay, to get to the $500,000 and to get you guys there, okay?
That's great. But why didn't you give it to us?
Because you were there too soon.
Yeah, I've had that problem.
No, it's true. We didn't have it by the time. The last year we had one cash rebate, but it was at least spending 1 million. Then again, Cinemat, hey, hello. There's not many productions spending 1 million in Portugal. Right. We are not so highly cost country. How do we spend 1 million here? We don't. Okay? Second, this year we struggle. We have not 20%, but 30%. We don't have 1 million, we have $500,000. But when you shoot in Portugal, we don't even have any incentive.
So, on a side note, actually, I have seen her and her mother, Anna, who's here. I'm not inviting you to. Okay, she's here as well. She heads Cinemat, and I'd like to invite her here. So, she's the boss of Cinemat. It's a company of, it's a family-run organization largely, and we have these beautiful ladies all looking similar to each other, working in this organization. So, what made the government actually listen to you? I know that you have negotiated with them and tried to get this rebate, but what are the things that you said that convinced them to give film producers rebate?
Yes, I think we need to make easy. And our government and tourism board normally complicate it so much. And film industry, we need these things for yesterday, not for tomorrow. And that's the big problem between production and government. That's why we need 1 year to explain our government. We need to be fast and easy. We learn with, for example, with IMTIAS, because in Europe, and I am a producer, I know it's easy for us because we know the procedures, we know everything. But they arrive at Lisbon, they make, for example, 14 hours with 30 people, not with 12 people like us, because we trust each other. We know we have different ways to get the things. And we need to learn with them, because we want to work with them, because they work differently. For example, for my experience, a grip man in Portugal, we use 3. And we take 30 minutes to put everything together, to have a crane. They come with 4 people, but they need 2 minutes. It's differently, of course, but it's a way to do it and do the same work. Then what we try to do is make easy the things. That's why we think now we are not everything, because we only have 30%, but we try to make easy the application, because all of Europe, all of cash rebates of euros need text culture test. it's difficult for a Indian production to go for 30 points of the culture test. They don't need that. They need 3 of them. Only locations, for example, and crew and Katerina take my arm. I think she wants. We have only 3 locations and crew and half a million, and that's it. And we don't charge VIT, for example, and it's much more easy than you wait 9 months for refund VIT. That's what we can offer in Portugal.
Moving to Pavlina now and to the Czech Republic, I don't even remember how it was in terms of the government policy, etc., during Rockstar. But I do know that actually the Czech Republic did give us a rebate for Jab Harry Met Sejal. And can you tell us what the structure is now with the government?
Yeah. Well, basically we offer incentives since 2010, and it's a 20%. That's a fixed cash rebate that you get. So that means on the Czech spend, on anything that you spend on your film, including post-production in the Czech Republic. And we also offer 66% on the withdrawal tax for your above-the-line cast and crew. It's on the income tax. If they are registered for paying tax in the Czech Republic, they get 66% rebate on the tax. And we also have regional funds. I think you benefited from the Prague Film Fund. Your film, please help
Jab
me.
Harry Met Sejal.
Yes, got $200,000 of that fund. Yeah, so
that's awesome. And when you see us working over there, you know, how do you think we are different from other nations? I know that the Czech Republic, incidentally, has got a huge background of filmmaking. One of my favorite filmmakers, Milos Forman, is actually from the Czech Republic, and he studied at FAMU, which remains one of the best institutes of filmmaking in the world. So I know that the Czech understand cinema much better than many filmmaking nations. But when you look at us working, like an Indian crew over there and working, what are your honest impressions about our work?
Well, I would say you're extremely efficient. That's yeah, I do think so. Yeah. Well, I think that's probably says it all. I mean, we have never had problems. If you would ask about problems, no, you're extremely efficient, and I think you work very well with the Czech crews as well, because you're nice people. You're naturally nice people. I'm not saying that there are nations who are not nice, but somehow there's a synergy. In the end, when they work with Czechs, there is a certain synergy. It works well. I have never had any problems or complaints, actually.
And what are your impressions of the Indian crew? All the Indian crew?
Efficient for sure. And
you think so? That's a very big compliment to us. If both of you are saying that, I feel really good about this.
I'm talking about your experience. I have others that were more complicated, but that was a yesterday talking.
No, we are talking about Indians. We are not talking about only my crew.
Communication, language.
Is a problem?
It is. I had a South Indian movie that I love to do. It was headache again, 47 days shooting, non-stop. We stopped one day per rain because they shot in November and December in Portugal. It's winter time. So it was 2 days of rain. One we changed for an inside location, and the other one we were not able to shoot. But the problem, it's communication for me the most, because many of the member crews, the junior ones, the trainees, they don't speak English. And if you want to give directions to the people, if you need to provide something to them, if you need to take them shopping, and you don't understand what are their needs, you're not able to provide. It's my main problem. and difficulty. With your crew, I didn't find it, because even when you are having discussions, internal discussions in means of departments that you don't need me to hear, or you always speak English. And our team, they all speak English, so even when it's not our concern, we were hearing, and maybe if we can help you and we have a way to help that subject, we would interfere and say, hey, wait, we have something to give you. Some Indian crews, I don't know why. If it's the low wages, because they have a need to take 5 people to do one job, it's really hard when you take people to another country and they don't even speak English. That is the only concern I can point.
Yeah, that's something to think about. Maybe regional cinema has fewer people in the unit that speak English, which is fine. And also I think our culture is different. Our culture, we are a populated nation. It's not a problem for us to always downsize the crew. That's not our problem. So our system of working, as Anna said earlier, is based on more people and quicker work. So that when the meter is on, that time is short. So we try to do it that way. But yeah, there are many units. But what about you, Pavlina? Have you heard of issues of communication, etc., being a problem with Indian crews? Because
well, I wouldn't call it a problem. What I feel is that sometimes you need to really push hard to get information. But I guess it's my problem. or the producer needs to be tough, and they need to be able to get the information from you. So.
No, and I must say that both your nations, they have two similarities. One of them is that it's not really an English-speaking nation, either of them. People speak their languages with a lot of pride and with a lot of comfort, and you will not find on the street, like if you went to to Holland, more people will turn out speaking English than in Portugal or the Czech Republic. But there is a natural, like a warmth that people from both these countries have. I've always found very easy to relate. And then when you even don't know the language, but you can communicate to each other because you trust each other, and there's a warmth, and you want to go out together after shoot is over. On that break day, you still hang together. That kind of a camaraderie is possible. So I think that becomes a very big reason for any producer like myself to return to a nation, to return to the same people to shoot with. So that's very, very good about both these countries. I want to ask how much time we have and what do we have to do?
Could we take questions from the audience? We have time
please.
for that.
Yes. Is there somebody to circulate a mic? All right.
You can use my mic.
Is there anyone who wants to ask?
Hi, my name is Imtiaz. Hi, Imtiaz, my more successful namesake. We met a very long time back when you were doing a serial for us called Naina, 15 years back. Yeah. So good to see you here. My question is to the lady from Czech Republic. We are shooting an international film in Europe later part of the year. And one of our line producers, his name is Marcin. He owns a company called Muchos Gracias. He, in fact, is sourcing locations for us in Europe which would substitute for Russia. And the country that he came up with was Czech Republic. I haven't been there. I don't even know if it looks like Russia or not. But I should be there in the next month and a half to check out the locations. So I have a couple of questions for you. One, of course, like all Indian producers, I need to understand what's the percentage of rebate. I have like a 30-day schedule over there, which is going to cost over $2 million. And we're also thinking about, is it necessary for me to partner a local line production company over there to access the rebate, or that's not necessary? And also third, and very important, is do we have access to an English-speaking crew in Czech Republic?
Yes, well, the first question, you always need a Czech partner. Service production company or a co-producer, but it has to be, the company needs to be registered in the Czech Republic for the tax. So you always need a Czech production company.
Do I need to partner that company? That was my question. Do I need to open a joint account? Do I need to open a joint account with that company?
Do you need to open what, sorry?
A joint account.
A joint bank account.
Not necessarily.
Not necessarily,
No,
okay.
no. Your Czech producers would take care of that. And your second question, I would say 99.9% of Czech crews speak English, because most of the international services we do are for Americans and UK, Germany as well. So it's a standard that every crew member speaks English, and the second language is Czech and then German.
Great. And my last question again is, would it substitute for Russia in terms of the visual landscape?
Depends what, but depends what and what historical period.
It's a period film, 1939 to 1946. So we're looking at, the landscape which would have looked like the Gulag camps in Russia back then.
Oh yes, absolutely.
Yeah?
I think that surely you will get.
Yeah?
Because actually the Russian architecture has been very influential in the Czech Republic during that period.
Okay.
Unfortunately.
Unfortunately,
Other locations are still there.
Fortunately for you.
Yeah.
But also, it depends on what part of Russia, because it, of course, is the largest country in the world.
Yes.
So parts of Russia are different from each other.
More of the Siberian part of Russia.
Siberian.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know exactly what you might be looking for, but Siberia is a very typical
I know,
Yeah,
we don't plan to go and shoot in Siberia, so we're looking at a substitute location, and one of the locations that Marcin suggested was
I'm
Czech
sure.
Republic.
I'm sure.
So,
Yeah, especially if it's a period film, I'm sure you'll get a lot in the Czech Republic, which you might find difficult finding in Russia itself.
Yeah, we're looking at old train stations, stuff like that,
Also, Russia is long distances everywhere. So if you find a particular place in the Czech Republic, everything is logistically, short distances,
Cool.
basically.
I'll take this offline with you, and let other people take it. But thank you so much. Thanks, Imtiaz.
Okay, any questions very specifically to Imtiaz Ali, because he's here for a short while our guests do have booths
No,
outside.
please, let's not do that. No, not at all, please.
Hi, Imtiaz.
Hi.
My question is, how do you freeze on a location? While writing the script, you have a location in mind, or you write the script and then you decide where to place it?
I'll give you examples of both these countries because these beautiful ladies are with us. The Czech Republic. I had that in my mind when I was writing. And I had no idea, except for the fact that I'd read in history that during the Second World War, when Europe was facing death and destruction, cities were getting torn down. The only city that survived kind of unharmed, mostly unharmed, where all the buildings still stand the way they were before the Second World War, is in fact Prague. And while in the other cities, mostly in most of the capital cities of Europe, the buildings have been made as a replica of what existed before the bombings, because most of these cities were destroyed. But the Czech Republic, it so happened, because the transfer of forces was such during that time, that the buildings survived. And so therefore they look different and magnificent in the Czech Republic. So the buildings are actually what they were in the early 1900s, maybe even before that. So it gives a different kind of feeling. So I had that knowledge in mind. And then I was writing, I'd seen some pictures, and I wanted it to be a place which is not, a regular tourist destination. I wanted it to be a little strange also in some way to Indians, in the way that we knew Paris, we knew London, we knew Berlin perhaps, but not Prague. So we wanted it to be, so I wrote it. And when I landed up there, I realized that that's exactly what I was looking for, because Prague also has let's say, a beautiful dark side, which I was looking for that film. There's a lot of darkness in very beautiful ways in the architecture. So that was Prague for me. Portugal as well, I had in mind. In fact, when I was shooting the previous film, Tamasha, I was thinking of Portugal as well as an option for Corsica. I wanted to go to a remote place, but then I thought that it's more difficult for a girl who is stuck without her passport to be in Corsica rather than Portugal, because in Portugal you will find your way. So you must also feel that, you must know that the connection between India and Portugal exists as well. Like the Goans would feel very comfortable being in Portugal. And when, that's why I keep suggesting to both of you that you should go to Goa, because you'd feel you're back home in Portugal. So I chose Corsica, because it was a place, was an island, etc. So it's always from the merit of the story, and yes, the information exists. There is a picture, and of course I go to that place later and check whether it is living up to what I have in mind, and most of the times it is consistent. Because if nothing else, every country has so much to offer that whatever you might be looking for the narrow requirement of one country will be satisfied in some way or the other. In fact, the only thing that you need when you're shooting abroad is to have to live with this feeling that you'll never be able to do justice to that country, because you will go there and shoot some locations and you will see millions of others and you'll feel so horrible not having shot in all of them or some of them. Portugal, of course, also I had in my mind, because this last story that I did was about a tour guide and about a touristic route, and all of that was in a certain part of Europe, and for some reason I wanted to leave that and go to just leap across to a very personal place. That's why I thought Portugal also had a feeling of fiesta, and we associated with football and all of that, so we leapt across over there. Yeah, so the knowledge exists, and that's when you write.
Thank you.
This will be the last question.
Hi, Imtiaz. Let's come back to India now. Any plans for Indian locations?
Oh yes, yeah. In all probability, if I do the film that I'm planning to do now, it's all in India.
Good. So
why? Why is
because
it?
I'm representing Gujarat.
Oh, nice.
And
Oh,
we
wonderful.
met in Goa, if you remember. So
You had a very lovely stall there.
yes, yeah, very lovely locations as well we do have. So we are looking forward for your next film in Gujarat.
Hopefully.
Thank you.
Okay, we can still take a quick question if anybody has a question. We'll give you a mic, sir.
I know that you've been shooting in various places, including Delhi. And based on your feedback, we had been updating, trying to improve, taking fresh initiatives, and so on. So I just wanted to know that you have any still concerns in mind which you feel that before you shoot your next film could be addressed to whatever extent.
Every place you go to shoot, including places in India, and definitely the ones abroad, have different ways of working. And not only that, it has this way of working, you must understand, is based on the nature of the people who live there. Like the Indian way of working, if they look at it, will be consistent to the Indian character of people. Similarly, if I look at Portugal and their way of working, the way the town hall operates, it's very Portuguese. It's not like the Czech Republic. At most of these places, the reason to go really, I mean, for me, I'm a director, so I will speak from that point of view. The reason to go is not that the rebate is the best. The reason to go is that the story calls you to go there, because so once you go there, you will not go to an antagonistic situation place. You will not go to a place where people don't cooperate or where systems don't cooperate, of course. But at every place you go, there are some things that come as a little bit of a problem, either to a producer or the director. But in my experience, going to any place, it's not a big problem. And as long as you have this very basic thing which we must understand, that we are not an exacting or a scientific industry. You know, we are a very human-related industry. We are a very interactive industry. We need to talk to people who can understand us and we understand them and work a system out. We are also not doing anything surgical or constructing a bridge, etc. There are ways to getting around it. There is a certain warmth that is required, a deeper understanding really. And that, there are issues. When we were shooting in Portugal, we troubled them so much because we work in our own way. Then I was being whimsical. I was trying to be friendly to these ladies here and to the others, somehow getting them to my side so that I could change my plans. And because, you know, when you start shooting at a place, So, because what happens is that you go there on a recce. Then when you go back there, you spend more time, you see new places. What are you going to do? You're going to say, okay, no, I'm going to shoot in my old places. Which, am I going to just forego all the knowledge that I have freshly of this place because I've stayed here for the first time for, let's say, a month? No, you're not going to do that. What you're going to do is to say, hey, you want to come out for a drink with me? Let's just talk and, you know, I'm really interested. Oh, that place is nice. Can I shoot here? Let's try. She won't know that actually I went there last night with my crew and wanted to shoot there instead of the location that the town hall has done already. These things happen. But the fact is that if, I've had that with the Czech people so much, that they don't now are interested in doing something creative or interesting and making a film look nicer, get a better visual in, etc. That is when you become helpful as a country and as a system.
What I actually meant was that...
Oh, I'm sorry, I said something else.
No, it's okay, it's okay. I was basically trying to take your views while you were shooting experience within India.
Acha, within India.
I represent Delhi.
Yes, in Delhi,
tourism.
actually...
So, what I want you to tell you was that we are all collectively working to make it a shooting-friendly destination, in a way.
Yeah.
And the challenge before all of us is that the perception of people needs to be changed to whatever extent possible. That it's not a shooting-friendly place.
No,
so
there's so much.
What is your experience and what is your message and what is your advice on that?
Actually, I think I've really like not led by example, but then I've already shot so much in Delhi. So many of my films are shot in Delhi. If I wouldn't be doing it if my experience wasn't good. And not only me, I think there are so many producers and movies that are shooting there now in Delhi. It's incredible. It's much more, I don't know, maybe it is even more than Bombay that there are units there, right? And there are so many line producers spawning up now.
More than 30, 40 films in a year are being shot, and this is minus the foreign films being shot, just the Indian films. Thank you for your feedback.
Okay, we've got one very quick question, not a discussion.
Hi, Sanjeev here. Just want to know how much are you a producer's director? In the sense, is the producer give you a leeway of going wherever you want to go and recce the place and then come back and you tell him that, okay, this is the place I've identified, but then when you've gone there, you said, no, I don't think this, but this.
Yeah, there's always a negotiation. I try to be reasonable. But I also try to work with those people that want to make good cinema. So they understand that it's not only the compulsion of making the maximum buck that gets us here. There are other industries to invest in which are far more safe and perhaps profitable. So if a producer's reason really is to make good cinema, then that's the one that I want to work with usually. Then I can negotiate. I don't think I'm an unreasonable person, but then I try to explain to the best of my ability. Usually, I don't think there has been any problem because I understand money and I do understand this basic thing that an industry survives no matter how art-oriented it is, but it survives at the cash register level if it has to go on forever.
Thank you.
So I thank the three of you and I thank all of you and IIFTC for giving us a chance to collect over here and talk to all of you. I hope that to some measure this has been fruitful for you. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's put our hands together for Mr. Imtiaz Ali, for Pavlina Zipkova, for Anna Maria Ramos Costa, and Katerina Gaspar. Thank you very much.
It's always good to interact with film people from different parts of the world because you get to learn a lot, you get to see how they think about cinema and how they work to make it the best in their way. Every time that I've gone out shooting has been a learning experience. There are friends from all over the world that I can see right now. So it was very nice coming here. It was nice to talk and take questions from people from different nations to interact with them. I think what's happening is that just like foreign locations, there are also Indian locations that are, for instance, putting up, I can see the Gujarat stall here, the Delhi stall here. So IIFTC doesn't mean only foreign location, it means also Indian locations, any locations that are now pitching up. And now I think I can see that the different states of the country are also gearing up and making film policies and making it easier, and very often a one window kind of a shooting is. So I don't think that shooting in India is very difficult. Of course, we being Indians have a natural advantage to shoot here, but even for other people, I think the government is doing a lot to make it easy.
Okay, sir, आपने भी काफी अलग-अलग जगहों पे शूटिंग करी है, तो सबसे बेटर एक्सपीरियंस आपका कहाँ पे रहा है, किस कंट्री में?
मुझे यार बहुत सारी कंट्रीज़ में बड़ा अच्छा एक्सपीरियंस रहा है शूट करने का. एक तो चेक रिपब्लिक यानी प्राग में बहुत अच्छा रहा है, पोर्चुगल में बहुत अच्छा रहा है. अभी जो मैंने सेशन किया उसमें पोर्चुगल और प्राग के लोग मेरे साथ उस सेशन में थे. कॉर्सिका में बहुत अच्छा रहा, अच्छा ही रहा है. और दिल्ली में मैं बहुत शूट करता हूँ, गुजरात में कभी किया नहीं है, तो ये लोग मुझसे पूछ रहे थे. कश्मीर में बहुत अच्छा लगता है शूट करके. तो हिंदुस्तान के अंदर भी बहुत सारी जगह हैं और हिंदुस्तान के बाहर भी जहाँ बहुत मज़ा आता है. शूट करना मुश्किल वैसी जगहों पे होता है जहाँ जो जगह ना ब्यूरोक्रेटिक होती हैं, जहाँ पे लोग पॉजिटिव नहीं होते. ऐसा एक्सपीरियंस कभी हम लोगों को ज़्यादा हुआ नहीं है, बिकॉज अगर ऐसा होता है ना कि अगर एक आदमी मान लो कि गवर्नमेंट का कोई एजेंसी है जो कोऑपरेट नहीं कर रही है, तो हम लोग लाइन प्रोड्यूसर को पकड़ते हैं कि तुम हमको हेल्प कर दो, तो वो कर देते हैं. हम लोगों ने जापान में शूट किया है, मेरा एक दोस्त यहाँ खड़ा है जापान से. Ultimately, everybody has a way. See, these are all nations where film shooting anyway happens. So these are all places where one way or the other it works. So sometimes if it doesn't work through the bureaucratic setup of the government, like in England, it is difficult like that. But the friends that you're working with in the unit, like the line producers, etc., they help you out to get around a certain system. You know, so it's like that. No, my Laila Majnu is a film that I have not done. It's like Laila Majnu is directed by by Sajid, and so that is all shot in Kashmir, entirely shot in Kashmir. There is no foreign location in it. Yes, shoot is completed. Yes. Second year of IFTC. Yes, it is giving. I think it has grown to a much larger size, and I'm very, very happy to see Indian participation in it as well, and also the participation of many countries like Sweden and Norway and Greece. I'm seeing over here, which was perhaps not the case, if I remember correct, the last time. So I think it has grown in size and stature, and it is becoming more influential in filmmaking in India. What is happening in Syria is dismal. It's very questioning. I don't know about, I don't really have a large presence on social media. I'm not on Twitter. So I don't follow who's saying what on Twitter. I chiefly read newspapers, but I don't know why people are, I don't even know whether people are not saying anything about Syria. But ये ज़रूर है, मुझे लगता है there are, I mean, I do know that there is a group of Sikhs who's in Syria and working over there for the upliftment of people. Indian Sikhs are there trying to help people out in Syria. Hats off to them. And I would encourage everybody to bring to the notice of everybody else what is happening there. But do it in a meaningful manner and not do it fakely, not do it in a way to make themselves look better.